The day I pretended to go blind, my wife smiled. Not the sad, worried smile you'd expect when your husband of 30 years suddenly can't see your face anymore. No, this was different. Her lips curved up like she'd just won something, and in that single moment, I knew my whole life had been a lie. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I discovered that the people sleeping under my roof were strangers wearing familiar faces. My name is Chief Daniel Williams, and 3 months ago, I was the richest man most people in Lagos knew. I owned hotels, imported cars, built houses that kissed the clouds. My children went to schools where fees cost more than some people's yearly salary. My wife wore gold like it was cotton. And I was dying. At least, that's what I told them. The idea came to me on a Tuesday morning when I overheard my son, Michael, on the phone. He was standing outside my study, speaking in hushed tones to someone. "Just hold on a bit longer," he whispered. "The old man can't have much time left. When he's gone, we'll have everything we need." My hand froze on the door handle. Michael. My firstborn. The boy I'd sent to London for university. The son I'd given 3 businesses to manage. I didn't confront him. Instead, I called my lawyer, Mr. Adeyemi, and my doctor, Dr. Okonkwo. 2 men I'd known for 20 years. 2 men I trusted with my life. "I need you to help me run a test," I told them. Dr. Okonkwo looked confused. "What kind of test, Chief?" "The kind that will show me who my family really is." 1 week later, I collapsed at the breakfast table. Agatha, my wife, screamed. The house staff rushed in. My children came running from their rooms. I lay on the cold marble floor, my eyes wide open but seeing nothing, while everyone panicked around me. Dr. Okonkwo arrived within minutes. He was part of the plan. He examined me, shook his head gravely and delivered the news. "Chief Williams has suffered a severe stroke. He's lost his sight completely. And..." He paused for effect. "His heart is very weak. I give him 3 months. Maybe 6 if we're lucky." The room went silent. Then Agatha started crying. Loud, dramatic sobs that echoed through the house. My children gathered around her, comforting her, while I lay on the couch where they'd moved me, supposedly blind and dying. But I could see everything. Dr. Okonkwo had given me special eye drops that made my eyes look cloudy and unfocused. But my vision was perfect. And what I saw in the days that followed would break any father's heart. The first 3 days, they played their parts well. Agatha sat by my bedside, holding my hand, speaking softly. Michael and his younger brother, Joseph, took turns reading to me. My daughter, Cynthia, brought me soup. Then came day 4. I was lying in my room when I heard voices in the hallway. Agatha was speaking to someone on the phone. "Yes, David, I know. I miss you too." Her voice was soft, intimate. "Just a few more months, darling. Then we can finally be together. With his money, we can go anywhere. Dubai, Paris, anywhere you want." David. I knew that name. My business partner. The man I'd invited to my home countless times. The man who ate at my table. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay still. To keep breathing slowly like a dying man would. "I have to go," Agatha whispered. "I need to look sad. The lawyer is coming tomorrow to discuss the will." She walked into the room. I felt her lean over me, checking if I was awake. I kept my eyes half closed, staring at nothing. "Poor thing," she muttered. Then she left. That night, I heard my children arguing in the living room. I'd asked Thomas, my most loyal houseboy, to wheel me out in my wheelchair. They didn't know I was listening from the corridor. "Father gave you 2 businesses, Michael," Cynthia snapped. "I should get the hotel chain." "The hotel chain is worth 50 million, Michael shot back. "You think I'm going to let you have that?" "Both of you shut up," Joseph said. "We need to be smart about this. The will hasn't been read yet. We need to stay on Father's good side until he dies." "What good side?" Michael laughed bitterly. "The man can't even see us. He won't know if we're there or not." "Exactly," Cynthia agreed. Why waste time sitting with him when we could be figuring out how to get the most out of this? I gripped the wheelchair's armrest so hard my knuckles went white. These were my children. The babies I'd held. The teenagers I'd guided. The adults I'd built empires for. And they were waiting for me to die so they could divide my wealth like vultures picking at bones. But there was one person who hadn't shown her true colors yet. Rose. Rose was my youngest daughter. 23 years old, fresh out of university, studying to be a teacher. While her siblings drove luxury cars and lived in expensive apartments, Rose shared a small flat with her friend and took the bus to work. I'd always offered her more. Money, a car, a better place. But she'd always smiled and said, "I want to make my own way, Dad. You've given me enough." I wondered what she would do now. The answer came the next morning. I was in my room when I heard soft footsteps. The door opened quietly, and someone sat beside my bed. "Hi, Dad." Rose's voice was gentle. Not fake gentle like Agatha's had become. Just gentle. "I know you probably can't hear me properly," she continued, "but I wanted to talk to you anyway. The nurse said sometimes it helps." She took my hand. Her fingers were warm. "I'm scared, Dad. Really scared. Not about the money or the businesses. I'm scared of losing you. You're my hero. You taught me everything important. How to be honest. How to work hard. How to love people for who they are, not what they have." Her voice cracked. "Everyone's acting so weird. Mom's on her phone all the time. Michael and Cynthia keep arguing about your properties. Joseph won't even come into your room anymore. It's like they've already said goodbye to you in their heads." She squeezed my hand tighter. "But I haven't. I won't. I'm going to be here every single day until you get better. And if you don't get better..." She paused, crying now. "If you don't get better, I'll be here until the end. Because you're my father, and I love you. Not your money. Not your businesses. You." Something inside my chest cracked open. Not from pain, but from a feeling I'd almost forgotten. Pure, simple love. For 3 weeks, this became our pattern. Rose came every morning before work and every evening after. She read to me. Told me about her students. Brought me flowers because she said the room smelled too much like medicine. The others barely visited anymore. Agatha spent her days at spa appointments and her evenings on the phone with David. I heard them planning their future. A house in London. Trips around the world. All funded by my death. Michael and Cynthia hired lawyers to contest the will before I'd even died. They wanted to make sure they got their fair share, which apparently meant everything. Joseph stopped pretending entirely. He moved his girlfriend into one of my properties without asking and started selling my cars to fund his gambling habit. 1 month in, my sister Patricia came to visit. Patricia was 10 years younger than me. I'd paid for her education, set up her business, bought her a house. She'd always been sweet, always grateful. Or so I thought. She sat beside my bed, holding my hand. "Brother," she said softly, "I need to talk to you about something important." I kept my eyes unfocused, waiting. "I spoke to Agatha yesterday. She told me about your will. Brother, I think there's been a mistake." Here it comes, I thought. You've given Rose almost nothing. That can't be right. She's so young, so foolish with money. Someone needs to manage her portion. Someone with experience. She patted my hand. Someone like me. She wanted me to change my will, to give her control over Rose's inheritance. "I only want what's best for the family," Patricia continued. "And honestly, brother, Rose doesn't understand business like I do. She's a teacher. What does she know about managing millions?" She stayed for another 10 minutes, painting herself as the responsible choice, the wise guardian. Then she kissed my forehead and left. I felt sick. But the worst was yet to come. 2 months into my illness, I overheard a conversation that made me want to give up on humanity entirely. It was late at night. I was in my wheelchair in the garden, enjoying the cool air. Thomas had left me there while he fetched my medicine. Voices drifted from the balcony above. Michael and Agatha. We need to speed this up, Michael said. At this rate, he could live for years. What do you suggest? Agatha asked. Dr. Okonkwo says his heart is weak. One more shock, one more stressful event, and it could give out. Silence. Then Agatha spoke, her voice cold and calculated. What kind of event? I don't know. Maybe we tell him the businesses are failing, that we've lost everything. The shock might be enough. That's risky, Agatha said. What if he recovers just to save his businesses? Then we'll think of something else. My son, my wife, discussing how to kill me faster. Thomas returned and wheeled me inside. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I made a decision. It was time to end the test. I called Mr. Adeyemi, my lawyer. Gather everyone, I told him. Family meeting. Tomorrow at noon. Tell them I want to announce my final wishes before I die. Are you sure, Chief? He asked. Once we do this, there's no going back. I'm sure. It's time they learned the truth. That night, Rose came to visit as usual. She looked exhausted. Her eyes were red from crying. Bad day? I asked in my weak, raspy voice, the one I'd perfected over the past 2 months. She jumped slightly. I rarely spoke anymore. Oh, Dad. Yes, bad day. She sat down heavily. I got into an argument with Cynthia. She said I was wasting my time visiting you every day, that I should focus on practical matters like the will and the properties. She laughed bitterly. I told her I didn't care about any of that. She called me stupid, said I was going to end up with nothing while everyone else got rich. And I whispered, and I told her that if being rich means becoming like her, I'd rather be poor forever. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I just want my dad back. Is that so wrong? Is it so stupid to love someone just because they're your parent? Not because they can give you things, but because they're just yours. I wanted to pull her into my arms right then. To tell her everything. To tell her she'd passed the test with flying colors. But I waited. One more day. Tomorrow, everyone would know the truth. And tomorrow, I would show them exactly what their greed had cost them. The morning of the meeting, I woke up with a strange feeling in my chest. Not fear. Not anger. Something closer to sadness. Because in a few hours, I would destroy my family. Or rather, I would show them they'd already destroyed themselves. Thomas helped me dress in my best suit. Black, sharp, expensive. The kind of suit a man wears when he means business. Are you ready, Chief? He asked quietly. As ready as I'll ever be. At exactly noon, everyone gathered in the living room. My massive living room with its golden chandeliers and marble floors. The room where we'd celebrated birthdays, Christmases, New Year's. The room where I'd held my children when they were babies. Now it would become a courtroom. Agatha sat in the front, dressed in black like she was already mourning me. David, yes, that David, stood near the doorway. She'd actually invited him. The nerve. Michael, Cynthia, and Joseph sat together, whispering among themselves. Patricia was there too, along with several cousins and extended family members I barely recognized but who'd suddenly become very interested in my health. And Rose. Sweet Rose sat alone in the corner, looking small and tired. Mr. Adeyemi stood beside my wheelchair at the front of the room. Dr. Okonkwo was there too, watching everyone with knowing eyes. Thank you all for coming, Mr. Adeyemi began. Chief Williams has asked me to read his final will and testament today, as per his wishes. Agatha dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. Fake tears. I could see them from here. However, Mr. Adeyemi continued, before we proceed, Chief Williams has something he'd like to say. The room went silent. I sat in my wheelchair, eyes unfocused, staring at nothing. Then slowly I stood up. Gasps filled the room. Agatha's handkerchief fell from her hand. Michael's mouth dropped open. I walked to the center of the room, my steps firm and strong. Then I turned and looked directly at my wife. Surprise, I said, my voice clear and powerful. I can walk. I can see. And I'm not dying. The room exploded. What? How? What is this? Agatha stammered, her face going pale. I'll tell you what this is, I said calmly. This is the truth. 2 months ago, I faked my illness. I pretended to be blind and dying because I wanted to see who you all really were. You lied to us? Michael stood up, anger flashing across his face. I lied. I turned to him, my voice rising. You want to talk about lies? Let's talk about the phone call I overheard. The one where you told someone you were just waiting for the old man to die so you could get your hands on his money. Michael's face went red. He sat down quickly. I turned to Cynthia. And you? Fighting with your brothers over my hotel chain before I was even dead. Arguing over properties like they were toys. Cynthia opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Joseph. I looked at my youngest son. You stopped visiting me entirely. Moved your girlfriend into my house without permission. Sold 2 of my cars to pay your gambling debts. Did you think I wouldn't find out? Joseph stared at the floor. Then I turned to Agatha, the woman I'd loved for 30 years. The mother of my children. And you, I said softly. My dear wife. Planning your future with David while I lay dying in my room. Dubai, wasn't it? Or was it Paris? I heard so many destinations, I lost track. Agatha's face turned white as snow. David started backing toward the door. Don't even think about running, I told him. Security is outside. I walked slowly around the room, making eye contact with each person. For 2 months, I watched all of you. I heard your conversations. I saw your true faces. And do you know what I discovered? That I've been living with strangers. People who smile at me while planning how to spend my money. People who call me father, husband, brother, but who see me as nothing more than a bank account with a heartbeat. Patricia stood up. Daniel, please, I can explain. Explain what? That you wanted to control Rose's inheritance? That you thought a teacher was too stupid to manage her own money? Sit down, Patricia. She sat. The room was dead silent now. Even the house staff had stopped moving. But there was one person, I continued, my voice softening, who came to see me every single day, who held my hand and cried real tears, who told me she loved me, not my money, not my businesses, but me, who said that if being rich meant becoming like her siblings, she'd rather be poor forever. I walked over to Rose. She was crying, staring up at me with wide eyes. Stand up, sweetheart, I said gently. She stood on shaky legs. This, I told the room, is my daughter. My real daughter. The only one who passed the test. Test. Cynthia spat out the word. You treated us like we were some kind of experiment? No, I corrected her. I gave you an opportunity to show your true character. You all failed. Mr. Adeyemi stepped forward, holding a document. As of today, my will has been changed, I announced. Agatha, you get nothing. The house we lived in, the cars, the bank accounts, all of it was in my name. You'll leave with exactly what you brought into this marriage. Nothing. Agatha let out a sound like a wounded animal. Michael, Cynthia, Joseph, each of you will receive 1 million naira. That's it. No businesses, no properties, no more free rides. You want to be rich? Earn it yourselves the way I did. 1 million. Michael stood up, furious. Father, you can't. I can, and I have. You 3 wanted to divide my empire before I was even dead. Now you'll learn what it's like to build something from scratch. I turned to Patricia and the other relatives. As for the rest of you, thank you for showing me that blood means nothing without loyalty. You'll receive nothing. Not 1 kobo. Then I looked at Rose. My entire estate, the hotels, the businesses, the properties, everything, goes to Rose. She is now the sole heir to the Williams fortune. The room erupted in chaos. People were shouting, crying, arguing. Agatha lunged toward me, but security held her back. You can't do this, she screamed. "I'm your wife. You were my wife," I said coldly, "until you started planning my murder." Everyone froze. "That's right," I continued. "I heard you and Michael discussing ways to speed up my death, talking about giving me a shock to stop my heart. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" Agatha collapsed into a chair, all the fight draining out of her. Michael looked like he might be sick. "I could press charges," I said. "Conspiracy to commit murder. But I won't. Instead, I'm giving you all exactly what you deserve. Nothing. And the knowledge that your own greed destroyed you." I turned to Mr. Adeyemi. "Please escort everyone out except Rose and Dr. Okonkwo." Security began clearing the room. Agatha had to be physically carried out, screaming that I'd regret this. Michael left without a word, his face blank with shock. Cynthia was crying hysterically. Joseph was already on his phone, probably calling his girlfriend. Patricia stopped at the door and looked back at me. "I really did care about you, Daniel," she said quietly. "If that were true," I replied, "you wouldn't have tried to steal from my daughter." She left. Finally, it was just Rose, Dr. Okonkwo, Mr. Adeyemi, and me. Rose stood frozen in the center of the room, tears streaming down her face. "Dad," she whispered, I don't want the money. I just wanted you." I pulled her into my arms, holding her tight while she cried against my chest. "I know, sweetheart. I know. And that's exactly why you're the only one who deserves it." "But they're my family too," she sobbed. "My mom, my brothers, my sister. How can I just take everything from them?" "You didn't take anything from them," I said firmly. "They lost it themselves. Rose, listen to me. I didn't do this to punish them, though they deserve punishment. I did this to protect you, to make sure that when I'm really gone, you'll be taken care of. Because you're the only one who would have taken care of me." She pulled back, looking up at me with red eyes. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," I said, "you finish your teaching degree. You keep living your life the way you've been living it. And when you're ready, I'll teach you everything about running the businesses. Not because you have to, but because you might want to." "And Mom? Michael? Everyone else?" I sighed. "They'll survive. They'll have to learn to work for their money instead of waiting for it to fall into their laps. Maybe, eventually, they'll understand what they lost. Maybe they won't. But that's not our problem anymore." Dr. Okonkwo stepped forward. "Chief, if I may, what you did was... well, it was brilliant. But it was also risky. Playing with people's emotions like that, even for a good reason, it's dangerous." "I know," I admitted, "but I needed to know the truth. And now I do." Mr. Adeyemi cleared his throat. "Sir, there will be legal challenges. Your family won't accept this easily." "Let them challenge," I said. "I was of sound mind when I made this decision. I have witnesses. Medical records from Dr. Okonkwo proving I wasn't actually sick. Everything is legal and binding." We talked for another hour, going over details, signing documents. Rose sat quietly, processing everything. Finally, everyone left except the two of us. "Dad," Rose said softly. "Yes, sweetheart. I'm angry at you." I blinked, surprised. "Angry? You lied to me too. You let me cry over you for 2 months, thinking I was losing you. That hurt." She was right. I sat down heavily on the couch. "You're absolutely right," I said. "I should have told you. Should have trusted you from the beginning. I'm sorry, Rose. Truly sorry." She was quiet for a moment. Then she sat beside me. "But I understand why you did it," she said. "You needed to be sure. About everyone. And I'm glad you did. Because now I know too. I know who they really are." "I wish I could have spared you that knowledge," I said. "No." She shook her head. "I needed to see it. I needed to know that the family I thought I had that it was just pretend, that only you and I were real. We sat in silence, father and daughter, in the big empty house. What happens to them? Rose asked eventually. Really? Agatha will probably move in with David. He has some money, though not nearly as much as she thinks. They'll fight about it eventually. She'll regret leaving, but pride won't let her come back. And Michael? Michael is smart. Cruel, greedy but smart. He'll take his 1 million and probably double it within a year. But he'll always be angry that he didn't get more. That anger will eat at him. Cynthia. Cynthia will spend her million trying to look rich. Designer clothes. Fancy parties. In 2 years, she'll be broke and begging for help. And Joseph. I sighed. Joseph is the one I worry about most. He'll gamble away his million in 6 months. Then he'll spiral. Unless he gets help, unless he hits rock bottom and decides to change, he'll destroy himself. Rose wiped her eyes. Can we help him? Any of them. If they ask for help, truly ask with humble hearts, then yes. But help isn't the same as money. It's guidance, support, maybe even tough love. But I won't give them another fortune to waste. That's fair, Rose said quietly. We sat there as the sun set, painting the room in orange and gold. You know what the saddest part is? I said. What? I would have given them everything. All of it. If they'd just loved me. If they'd just been there, truly there, when I needed them. But they couldn't do that. They loved my money more than they loved me. Rose took my hand. I love you, Dad. Not your money. Not your businesses. Just you. I know, sweetheart. And that's worth more than all the hotels and properties in the world. 3 months later, I saw Agatha at a restaurant. She was with David, but they weren't smiling. They were arguing in harsh whispers. I saw her glance at the bill, saw the flicker of panic when she realized how expensive it was. David saw me watching and quickly looked away. Agatha met my eyes. For a moment, I saw something there. Not love. Not even regret. Just loss. The understanding of what she'd given up. Then she looked away, and they left. Michael started a tech company. He sent me an email about it. Very formal, very cold. He didn't ask for help, which I respected. The company was doing well, I heard. Maybe he'd learned something after all. Cynthia tried to come back. She showed up at the house 6 months later, crying and apologizing. Said she'd changed, that she understood now, that she just wanted her father back. But Rose was there when she arrived. She'd heard Cynthia's apology. She's lying, Rose told me later. I saw her checking out the new furniture, calculating prices in her head. She hasn't changed. She's just broke. I didn't let Cynthia in. Joseph disappeared. Last I heard, he'd moved to Abuja and was working as a taxi driver. He'd hit his bottom. Maybe someday he'd climb back up. But that was his journey to make. Patricia called once, asking to meet. I agreed, curious. We met at a quiet cafe. I'm not here for money, she said immediately. I just wanted to apologize. Really apologize. What I did, trying to take control of Rose's inheritance, it was wrong. I was greedy. I convinced myself I was helping, but I was just helping myself. Why tell me this now? I asked. Because I've been thinking about it for months. About what you said. About loyalty and family. And I realized I've never really been loyal to anyone but myself. She looked down at her coffee. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. What I did. Who I became. We talked for an hour. About family, about money, about the ways wealth can poison relationships. When we parted, I told her, if you ever need help, real help, not money, call me. You're still my sister. She cried. As for Rose, she finished her teaching degree. She still lives in her small flat, still takes the bus, still refuses most of the money. But she comes to my office once a week, and I teach her about the businesses. Not because she needs to know, but because she wants to. Because she sees the companies not as money-making machines, but as places where real people work. People with families, with dreams, with lives. She'll be a better CEO than I ever was. One evening, a year after the test, Rose and I were having dinner. Just the two of us in the big house that felt less empty now. "Dad," she said, "can I ask you something? Anything. Do you regret it? The test? Losing your family?" I thought about it carefully. "I regret that I had to do it," I said finally. "I regret that my wife and children were the kind of people who would fail. But I don't regret doing it. Because now I know the truth. And truth, no matter how painful, is better than a comfortable lie. Even if the truth hurts? Especially then." She nodded, understanding. "You know what I think," she said. "I think you didn't lose your family. You found it. We're your family now. You and me. And Thomas and Dr. Okonkwo and Mr. Adeyemi and everyone who actually cares about you." I smiled. "You're wise beyond your years, sweetheart. I learned from the best." That night, after Rose went home, I sat in my study alone. I thought about Agatha, about our 30 years together, about the woman I'd loved, the woman who'd given me children, about the moment that love had died, not when I faked my illness, but when she smiled at my blindness. I thought about my sons, my daughter Cynthia, my sister, about the family I'd built and the strangers they'd become. And I thought about Rose, about the daughter who'd stayed when everyone else left, who'd held my hand and cried real tears, who'd loved me not for what I had, but for who I was. The test had cost me my family, but it had also shown me something precious. That real love exists. That loyalty matters. That character is more valuable than gold. And in the end, that was worth everything. Some people say I was cruel, that I manipulated my family, played with their emotions, destroyed relationships that could have been saved. Maybe they're right. But I say this, I gave them a choice. Every single day for 2 months, they could have chosen love over greed. They could have sat with a dying man instead of planning his funeral. They could have held my hand instead of counting my money. Only one person made that choice. Only Rose. And that's why she won everything. Not because I wanted to punish the others, but because she was the only one who understood that love, real, selfless, unconditional love, is the only inheritance that truly matters. The money was just paper. The businesses were just buildings. But Rose's loyalty, her devotion, her pure heart, that was priceless. And in the end, that's what I wanted to reward. Not greed, not manipulation, not fake tears and empty promises, but love. Simple, honest, beautiful love. The kind of love that doesn't ask what it can get, but what it can give. The kind of love that stays when everyone else leaves. The kind of love that sees a blind man and thinks not of his will, but of his soul. That's the love worth everything. And that's the love Rose gave me. So yes, I tested my family. And yes, I lost most of them. But I found my daughter. And that made it all worthwhile. The end.